Going to be a confluence of assholes in this situation. Jimmy Dore, Dr. Phil grills detained immigrant. So this is Jimmy's right-wing, I don't know, Trump suck, run amok, I suppose. For decades, Dr. Phil has been a highly recognizable public figure from his popular television show, and he even got recognized by a suspected sexual predator being arrested in Chicago. Suspected, okay. When America's favorite TV doctor, really? Fuck you, Dr. Oz, I guess, at some point. Joined in a raid with Immigration Customs Enforcement. This is that's Jimmy Dore's description of this shit.
Come see us live on tour. No. Syracuse.
Nope.
For link for tickets. So what kind of people are they arresting?
Also, by the way, I kind of enjoy these clips sometimes just by how miserable Kurt looks.
In Chicago. So
end wokeness. So Jimmy is now quoting or citing X accounts called end wokeness because he's so far left he's right. You know, that's the idea.
Here's a guy, a child rapist from Thailand.
Personally rounds up a child rapist from Thailand in Chicago. Borders are home. Okay.
Chicago.
This is a real reversal, isn't it? Usually they're picking up the European.
Wow, that guy's the child rapist voice sounds a lot like Kurt.
Yeah.
Sex tourist out of Thailand.
What's your name?
Seda.
Seda what? You have a person, I think.
Sam.
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
Look at Jimmy like, huh? Guy from Thailand in America. Huh? I honest to God, can you just wait until there's an actual point made?
States.
No.
Never been deported.
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, no, he's never been deported, but he's been in the system before. And there's Dr. Phil. Why is Dr. Phil there? Are they sending him to boot camp?
Why is that a joke? What do you mean boot camp? He's doing a ride along because this is posturing bullshit.
You're going to start respecting your mother. I'm sending you one of those weird boot camps where they probably molest kids. He's probably got to make up for that boot camp he sent all them kids to.
I mean, he definitely needs a new agent. When your agent says you can't get you a spot on The View anymore.
Oh, he's reading jokes on the page again. We just get to the point. I don't even know if you're for it or against it.
But he has a booking available for arresting pedophiles from Thailand. Come on.
I mean, I will say, I would rather watch the thing that he's booked on than The View.
Me too.
Good job.
Sorry, Kurt and Jimmy Dore would like you to know they would rather watch child rape than The View. Because punchline, and it's probably true.
By his agent, but I'm...
Yeah.
What have you been charged with?
Charged with?
Before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer.
Yeah.
Smart.
Are you a citizen?
My mom said that.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
Who's Dr. Phil? Who's Dr. Phil?
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen.
That looks like the house I grew up in, by the way. And that looks like the tree in front of my house. That can't be my house, could it?
Dude, if Dr. Phil... Wait a minute.
He goes, how do you know me? What do you mean? You're Dr. Phil. Everybody knows Dr. Phil. You've been on TV for 30 years.
Is there a possibility that Dr. Phil just showed up with this Thai child molester in front of your boyhood house? Is that a possibility?
Oh, you know.
I don't know. What are the odds Jimmy's house has been passed down from child molester to child molester?
On TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
So what Holman is saying...
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Translate what Holman said for us, because a lot of us want you to sort of soften it up for us.
Is that you got local, because it's a sanctuary city, the local police authorities aren't allowed to work with the federal ICE or whatever.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, they're not allowed to work with the ICE or the federal whatever. Yeah, that's how it's written into law. It couldn't possibly be that they don't automatically check the status of people and they don't automatically turn people over that aren't guilty of violent crimes, and that this guy's been in the system before, but they didn't know at the time that he'd been convicted in his own country of this act or whatever it was, or that he's out on bail on it or something, which is another issue with Chicago.
They're not allowed to work with the Border Patrol, anybody, to help deport illegal
Yeah, they are. There's a limitation on what they will do.
aliens.
And also, this is happening in Chicago. So obviously you can.
And consequently, they got these criminals. And we just
I would just like to say, Anna Kasparian looks like shit.
showed you in another
Did we all
clip
see Scarface?
from Boston.
Oh, Scarface.
We saw you from Boston that they arrested this guy on some sex trafficking or some kind of sex charge, and they had to let him go the next day because it's a sanctuary city. What were you saying about Scarface?
No. Yeah, everybody gets due process. What they arrested him for and what they have evidence to prove and how long they can hold him is the issue. That would be true of people whether they're legal or illegal in that regard. The question is did they released him on his own recognizance, or he had somebody or he put up a bond, or whether he was wearing an ankle bracelet or any of that kind of shit. Like, those details actually matter in this situation.
It's all the same as a drug.
Here's what I would argue. Why don't you just back the fuck up and just go, the United States, pretty much across the board, is too easy on sexual predators. How about that? As far as like a 72-hour hold or like evidentiary rules for a hold can be, slightly lessened if there's a plausible charge against someone, whether a minor is involved or direct violence or proof, or a victim comes forward and, or extraordinary bail money so that it's basically your whole fucking life gets taken away if you don't show up, and when you're convicted, you treat it like you tried to rob the Fed. One of the things that I keep coming back to is fucking, you want to talk about Chicago, but John Wayne Gacy was convicted of molesting a 15-year-old boy, and before he killed people. And he was given, I want to say, 8 to 15 years. And he served like 18 months. They liked him so much, they let him go, and then they expunged it from his record. And then he went on to murder people. If they'd have just kept him in jail, all those lives would have been saved. If he'd have just done the time he got.
Drug dealer and a people dealer, that's all the same. It's so corrupt, the mafia that runs it, which is real big and real scary, that's why that's allowed. In Scarface, they bought Miami, remember? He came over, they flooded Miami with illegal immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Okay, people have been talking about this for a while because of the opening scene. I forget, somebody said it in Congress, brought it up in one of the hearings. And so Kurt has seen this. But in the opening of Scarface, not Capone, the movie Scarface with Al Pacino, there's an opening graphic that talks about what Castro was doing. And this is part of the narrative that Trump has been pushing. Let's see. Opening of Scarface, facts about Castro. So this has been part of the narrative that they've been selling, so you know what it says. Okay, opening... Mario Boatlift, which was opened by Fidel Castro. The scene that I love is the opening of Scarface, where he goes, I want to see that. I can't play it. Opening. It's kind of footage of real life Mario Boatlift. The Mario Boatlift allowed Cubans to join their relatives in the United States, but within 72 hours, 3,000 U.S. boats were headed for Cuba, giving real-world credibility to the film's portrayal of power and corruption. So let me see if I can bring this up real quick. Yeah. So what he's talking about is this: a scene that I love opening. Okay. And I think it's this. I'm just gonna mute it, but if I play the opening part of it, I'm gonna get busted. In May 1980, Fidel Castro. Hold on. Wait. In May 1980, Fidel Castro opened the harbor at Mariel, Cuba, and go away. With the apparent intention of letting some of his people join their relatives in the United States. It soon became evident that Castro was forcing the boat owners to carry back with them not only their relatives of the 125,000 refugees that landed in Florida, they're unwilling to adapt to the spirit of the revolution. So, sorry, hold on, back up. There was there's another line. Of the 120, an estimated 25,000 had criminal records. So they are unwilling to adapt to the spirit of the revolution. This is him speaking. We don't want them. We don't want them. We don't need them. So this whole idea that Trump uses about they're sending their criminals, they're bringing crime, they're not sending their best, all this stuff. It all comes from this kind of an idea. There is a history of this. And Russia uses immigration as a weapon all around the world. And there's an element of this. The problem is that because of it, it not only helps, Castro at the time and the Russians and whoever to divide the country and do all this kind of stuff, but it allows opponents of immigration to vilify families and people who are just coming here to work or people seeking asylum, okay? Yeah, so that's what they're talking about, these dickheads. So, yeah.
Burial boat lift that Jimmy will open arms, and they welcomed in all the dregs of Cuban prisons, and then
all the dregs of Cuban prisons.
There was an insane drug boom, every kind of trafficking boom, and it built the city. So somebody wants that way, and they're telling, we've had the resources to take care of this. How do we have MS-13 here and El Salvador doesn't? El Salvador has...
Because we have the higher rules of incarceration and a better legal system, and it's an American gang that started here.
No MS-13 problem, but we do? How's that possible?
First of all, they do, and hold on one second, chat room. Let me show you something real quick. MS-13. Mara Salvatrucha is an international criminal. Yeah, here you go. That's this guy. Founding location, Pico Union, Los Angeles, California, United States, in the 1980s to present. Their territory includes places in the United States, but Canada, Spain, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. There's 30 to 50,000 of them globally. There's 8 to 10,000 in the United States, where it originated. It is an American group that started that way, and then they moved down south. So, again, I don't know if Kurt's stupid or just manipulative. I'm going to go with dumb, probably. But that's just. So you know, that's one of the reasons. And the other thing is that I think he said El Salvador.
Yeah.
Right?
We've had the resources to take care of this. How do we have MS-13 here and El Salvador doesn't?
Okay, I'll tell you why. El Salvador does, but El Salvador just they don't have posse comitatus. Gang roundups. We saw this over the last little bit. So let's see. San Salvador, a human rights group on Monday criticized a massive arrest of suspected gang members in El Salvador. The roundups began in late March. This is a while back. Let's see. Yeah, they do have them, but they all have them in a box. This is what their prison looks like. At one point, these folks were running the building that was the prison, and then they had to move them to another one and cut off all telecommunications to the area. And they couldn't even have a cell tower near the facility. They had 3 phone lines for emergency use only. because for a while, because these guys, that's why they make them like basically wear pajamas and underwear everywhere, because these guys can hide a phone anywhere. This is the Terrorism Confinement Center, the CECOT mega prison. They started doing these roundups. That's why they don't have this problem. And they don't have trials for them. They just pull them off the street. Let's see, 75 kilometers. It's 47 miles southeast of the capital of San Salvador. It is the centerpiece of Bukele's war on street gangs. 15,000 members of MS-13 and rival Barrio 18 gangs are being held at the nearly 2-year-old facility, which can hold up to 40,000 people. They were rounded up under a state government state of emergency imposed by Bukele after a surge in gang violence in 2022. Some are serving sentences of over 200 years. The crackdown has been praised by most Salvadorans. And again, there's an element of, look, I get that you might be tried for something you weren't directly guilty of, but if you have the gang tattoos, if you have a liar's tattoo, like you have, it's kind of like if you have a teardrop, that means you killed somebody. If you have a fake teardrop, they'll kill you, right? Because you didn't really earn it, and you're a poser. It's like if you're wearing gang colors and the Hell's Angels, if you're wearing colors, if you didn't earn them or get them the right way by being a member of the gang, they'll kick your ass or kill you. Same thing. So to some degree, this is all the evidence they need to lock you up, because you have your crimes tattooed on your body, right? Imagine the lice and bed bugs. No shit. They watched 1,000 prison officers, 600 soldiers, 250 riot police guard the facility. And the Barrio guys and the MS-13 are mortal enemies. The Barrio 18. Speaking in a small room next to cells, watched by a group of police officers. Psycho, 41-year-old nicknamed Psycho, told AFP he regretted his violence past. We are in a maximum security prison where we know there is no way out. He's serving a 100-year sentence for 2 murders, lifted his shirt to show AFP the initials MS for Mara Salvatrucha, or MS-13, tattooed on his torso. He's born in El Salvador, but spent the part of his childhood in the United States, where he joined a gang at about age 12. So this dude they're interviewing in El Salvador was lived in the U.S. and joined MS-13 here. Kurt, you tit. Fucking hell. By the way, real quick, you know that phrase, a little learning is a dangerous thing? Yeah, we're trapped in a world of a little learning. That's the problem with do your own research. Because if you just do enough research to verify what you already believe, and you stop at looking at anything that might go against your preconceived notions or whatever, give you, anything that violates your confirmation bias. Well, Dunning-Kruger is the sales pitch that these motherfuckers do. But the essence of it is a little knowledge, a little learning is a dangerous thing, because you need a lot of learning to be learned. And these motherfuckers stop just shy of almost knowing something. Flat Earthers are a great example, water goddess, of that. Absolutely.
Salvador has no MS-13 problem, but we do? How's that possible?
Because we have a legal system that requires you to more than just tattoos to lock people up, stupid.
El Salvador got rid of their gang problem.
How'd they get rid of it? Jimmy, tell us the freedom-loving, socialist, Marxist, millionaire solution that they came up with that you side with. The idea of the rounding up of these folks and the extrajudicial imprisoning of them and finding them guilty while they're already in jail serving the sentence. No time served, no nothing. And literally you're being convicted on your tattoos. Now, again, most of these guys probably are guilty of a lot worse. That's not the issue. But that's why in this country we don't have as many people like that locked up. Fuck, this guy's dumb.
Because they're not corrupt. And I saw that guy Bukele talk about it, and he was advised, well, because our economy is so dependent on crime, You got to ease off of it because it'll crash the economy. And he goes, you know what? We'll take the GDP hit. It's fine. And you know what happened? He said they went up 3 points in GDP.
Yeah.
That's what he said. You know, so what I mean, really, so what, just so you know, in case you're confused here, Jimmy and Kurt are arguing for mass incarceration for the economic benefit and quick trial. I mean, they're basically Trumpers at this point. This is just stupid. I would rather have our system and all of its limits than just have a situation where a state or the federal government can just round people up by how they look. You understand why, you know, our country's, and again, it blossomed there because of another problem that they have, one that we don't have. Just like a failed economic structure where a gang can move in and provide like running water in areas of the country. That doesn't exist in the United States, stupid. That's why they could grow that big there. That's why the response had to be militaristic. Like, and I don't know where Kurt and Jimmy seem to think that that Miami will die without crime at this point. Like Miami's kept afloat financially. Is that the argument now that these like Cubano coke dealers built the city and therefore what the fuck?
But they were prepared to take the hit. That's how we are El Salvador before Bukele corrupt at the very least.
Yeah.
So
no, we aren't. Hold on. Think about that listen to that statement. For real. Listen to this shit. We are El Salvador before Bukele corrupt. We have that level of corruption because we don't round up people, known gang members or gang affiliates and stuff, and throw them in jail based on their tattoos in mass and house them in giant human warehouses. And that means we're corrupt. It doesn't mean we're too civilized for the circumstance we're in. It doesn't mean we're too slow moving. It doesn't mean that there's too much wiggle room or these guys have too, powerful lawyers that help them get out of shit, right? Fuck off. And by the way, if it's that awesome, why aren't they doing their show from El Salvador?
that's how we are El Salvador before Bukele corrupt at the very least.
Yeah.
So they're
also, Jimmy's like, yes. What? Based on what? You think Los Angeles, where he lives, where both of these fuckers live, is as corrupt as El Salvador before they did the gang sweeps? On the same, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, people might slip $100 to a building, inspector so that they can put a fucking shed on their property. But I mean, there's not underground fucking gun running happening in Portland.
all I'm waiting to see is, okay, I like this guy, this ICE guy, because he wants to do his job, and he knows all the horrors that are being allowed that these imbecile actors pretend they don't know about. I want to see if they come out with the whole truth or they try to do like...
Okay, at a certain point, I think they're both just trying to fuck Anna Kasparian. I think that's all this is. This is like the Anna Kasparian mating call. They're like, hey, maybe I'll get a shot if I saddle up next to her at the bar and, hey, baby, I like Tom Homan. I mean, I realize the Biden administration was ejecting these people too, and that it's a constant gardening issue or whatever, but you and I can both pretend. Hey, let's cut the shit. You want to go upstairs and go, with me?
Never tell us the whole truth, because the whole truth's real bad. It's real bad.
Is it?
Not really.
Not really?
He said,
I've never been deported.
Also, if the whole truth, nobody will tell you the truth or the whole truth, and the whole truth is real bad or whatever, why the fuck wasn't Jimmy on this for years? If this has been a problem like they both say it is, why is it just now that Trump is doing this that they're just fucking mask-offing about this shit? Or is it just that they were selling bullshit like faux-aggressive horse shit to their audience for a long time, and now that Trump's, like there was a trend towards Trump, this asshole just wants to make hay while the sun shines? Just, that's what side of the bread his butter is on.
what was his question? What was it? Let me see what his question was.
I'm sure it'll cut him right to the quick. I'm sure it's genius, and nobody thought to. I mean, only Dr. Phil can answer. Can ask great questions like that.
Right, yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not not really.
Not really.
Not
Kinda,
really.
Maybe.
Not
I'm in
really.
the pervert exchange program from Thailand. There's a guy with his pants pulled up too high who's from America.
Also, by the way, where is the idea that this guy, in Chicago? By the way, he's from Thailand. We're not talking about a southern border issue.
In my place, and I'm staying here with a family.
You ever been charged with sex crimes with a child? Not really. What?
Not
I mean,
really?
I'm not allowed to.
And never been deported?
Well,
Huh.
Let's take them in, process them, lock them up.
Got it, sir.
Dr. Phil's Merit TV. Fuck you, Merit TV. This is part of the meritocracy, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, in 2014, he sexually harassed Anna Kasparian. Did he grab her too? Was that part of the issue? I mean, they're on the same side now, so she'll probably bury the hatchet like fucking Megyn Kelly and Fox News. They all the people that looked the other way while she was being sexually harassed at Fox News, she's now best buddies because they're all on Team Trump.
So, Tom Homan says ICE saves children today and goes scorched earth on Governor Pritzker. The governor, well, here, let's listen to what he says.
You know who
Yeah, we don't have to. You don't need to tell us. Reading?
Pritzker is, right?
Yeah, Governor
His family
Pritzker.
made their fortune.
They made Hyatt hotels.
Oh, they also stole Japanese property during the internment concentration camps.
Oh, no kidding.
They took their shit. That's where the big bulk of their money came from. They're also the one of the main driving forces behind gender affirming care for kids. Isn't that weird that these people that are into that are also into having kids brought in undocumented?
Boy, like Kurt has just gone straight QAnon now. Awesome.
Yeah, the Pritzkers, they suck.
So here's what they still.
Yeah, just by people's names. The Metzgers, fuck them.
Pritzker is the governor.
I know a guy. I went to high school with a guy named Metzger. He was okay. I don't think they're related.
Of Illinois. He's that. He's the guy who makes Chris Christie look like he's in shape.
That's a fat joke, I think.
And
I mean, it's about being fat. I just think the qualifications for it being a joke are in question.
And he's the one who came out during the Democratic convention and said, "I'm a real billionaire," and everybody cheered. The party of the workers cheered out a billionaire. Here it is.
Sorry, guy who has $1 million house. Sorry, multi-million-dollar house in the Hollywood Hills says, "What about the workers?"
Let's watch this.
Wonder where they go, who picks them up. This is who picks them up. This is who lures them out on the internet.
Yeah, they do it all the time. They didn't just start doing it. They didn't invent the job.
And they disappear or they get raped and their lives change forever. And he shouldn't even be here, but he's doing this. But they don't raise their hand and say, hey, there's somebody that doesn't even have the right to be here that's preying upon our children, and they don't tell you about it.
Exactly, and this Governor Pritzker, and the mayor, they want to vilify the men and women of ICE. ICE save children.
Boy, the sound quality on Merit TV is fantastic.
ICE save children today. And it makes me
ICE saves children all the time, asshole.
angry. Governor Pritzker the other day went on the internet, social media, saying ICE was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring children. He's scaring the neighborhood, putting fear in the community. We're doing the exact opposite.
Jesus Christ, both of these mushmouths. For fuck's sake, just say it.
We're saving children. Every sexual predator we arrest means more safe children. So, God bless.
Right, which is why Trump shouldn't be in office and Matt Gaetz should be in jail. Yeah, that's, I mean, obviously, look, I'm not against picking up sexual predators of any type, actually. Throw them all in fucking jail. I think rape should be, a felony, like, even at its outside. Just saying, and like a serial rapist might want to start thinking about that, especially when it involves a child. It's a capital crime. I'm not for capital punishment, but in terms of what the standard is versus, how long you stay in jail or whether you can get parole. I'm just saying that. But as long as you guys are Dr. Phil's gonna have Matt Gaetz on at some point and shake his hand. So I don't want to hear it.
Methodical ICE, if you've seen today, we're not sweeping neighborhoods. This is a target enforcement operation. We spent a lot of time investigating these people. We know exactly who we're looking for.
Right. Yeah, that's why it's not big roundups. That's why Trump's mad.
So it's a target enforcement operation. It's the right thing to do.
Well, let's talk about how methodical this was, because you guys had this monster on the list, and they've been sitting on this guy for 2 or 3 days to try to get where he was and his pattern, and you were actually able to ping his cell phone and get him on the move so he could be picked up on the street rather.
Yeah, normal law enforcement, big fucking whoop. Yeah, we get it. Like, you didn't get these aren't new powers. This didn't happen because Trump became president. And all we're going to do is sit here and watch Jimmy watch Dr. Phil and get a half chub.
Then if he got to his dwelling, wherever that is, and got behind a closed door, then he could have sat there and you didn't have the right to go in and get him if he sits behind that door, right?
Not without a criminal arrest warrant. That's exactly the point. He could have been arrested at county jail, in the safety and security of county jail, by one officer.
Right.
But we spent hundreds of hours to investigate him, try to find out where he is, and we did find him. It takes a whole team for officer safety reasons to arrest him. Right. It's not efficient. We could arrest many more criminals if you let us in the jail. It's a lot harder to find these guys out in the public. These guys don't want to be found. They're in the wind. It takes a lot of investigative work to find them. Let us in the jail. Don't let them hit the street.
Right. This, by the way, this is what I was talking about earlier, is that the sanctuary cities have an issue about when they arrest somebody, they either don't ask their citizenship status, or if they're aware of it, they don't automatically give them to Homeland Security. And part of the reason is, and this might be shocking, is that the southern border is and will continue to be porous forever. And people who fly into the country or flying in under a fake name, like the dude from Thailand probably didn't cross the southern border in the first place anyways. And what happens is, if you take somebody and we throw them in jail, they go to jail, they get a lawyer, they get to go through the process, and if they're found guilty, they're put in fucking jail. And then they kept there. They go to prison even. If you take them out and you just release them, they could come back, kill a witness, come back, they could arrange for somebody to be killed. There's a big problem with just letting fucking people go back into their country, especially if they're Mexican, because we have a border with them. That's the issue. Or if, Canada allows travel back and forth to their country without a visa, for example. And then, they have other ways of getting around, and they come to Canada. The Canadian border is as porous as it is. That's what they're talking about. This is nothing new.
It saves officers time. It's safer for the community. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer.
Until that person comes back.
But spending hundreds of hours of investigation to find this guy when we could have got him in 5 minutes at the Cook County Jail.
And then you would have taken him, put him on a plane, dropped him, and given him a free fucking ride home to his country of origin, where he could continue to attack people there or come back here and do it through other means.
It seems crazy. I'm sorry. It seems crazy. You got a guy in jail. He's already a bad enough actor. You had to arrest him. He's already a big enough criminal that the local police had to arrest him. And then they release him instead of giving him to ICE?
Okay, first of all, what was he arrested for? Was he arrested for being a sexual predator, or he'd been arrested before, and that was part of the issue? Or it was he was close in age range when this initially happened, and he's got that on his record because he's a sex offender, he's on the registry, and there's a difference between, the extremity of it, or somebody, the Romeo and Juliet laws would have handled, or something like that. There's a lot of details to this. I'm not excusing if that guy was a predator, he should be in jail. But I'm not going to just assume, by the way these assholes are talking, that we know all the details about this legal case, or when it fucking happened, or what the details were.
And then they got to...
Or if he was even, by the way, I would just like the receipts. I would like to know what we're actually dealing with. And so it would be nice if we were like, did he get arrested for shoplifting, and that's why he's out because shoplifting is on a different category than being a sexual predator, and that he'd already served his time. We have rules about that in this country, which is why we don't have giant barns full of MS-13. Although we'll see what Trump wants to do.
And then ICE has to do an investigation, spend all those man hours, go to a house.
Oh no, they have to go to a house. He didn't understand what he was saying. He's like Dr. Phil was saying you can't go into the house because he's not effective. You're not sure he's in there. The house is owned by a resident or owned by a citizen, so you can't violate a citizen's property rights if you don't know for sure the person is in there. You could say, well, his phone was in there, and like, okay, but that doesn't give you the right to kick in my door because you can't prove that he's here. So you got to sit on the fucking house for 2 days, which is a violation of Fourth Amendment rules. Like that's why we have these rules for a reason. And there are areas where, like, if we could just break these rules, we could put away some of these motherfuckers. We could get rid of some of the worst. Agreed. But we would also give people the power to put people away who didn't do anything, which is more important than the brevity of this kind of shit. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
It seems crazy.
What's the argument for that, though? What's the argument for that?
Sanctuary city, baby.
You see AOC talking to Jon Stewart, and Jon Stewart even knows, why would you just keep a known sex offender in here and not hand him over? She's like, well, I don't know all the case. She has no response.
Yeah.
Because
that is a response. Because you might say, I think the answer is, in that case, I wouldn't. But we don't want to have a situation where where local police in different places are doing roundups of people, whole family units, under the guise of gathering up, these criminal aliens that they allege exist in the place without due process. And one of the big reasons is because you have asylum seekers here, people with temporary protected status, you have people that are covered by DED, and if you rescind that all of a sudden and you don't give them warning, they have no legal due process in this. That's why.
you're supposed to not know that's a problem. Okay? Which is insane. That's absolutely batshit. But
also, can I say also that we're taking for granted that what she said and how she said it comes out like this. Like, you know what I mean? That he was accurately repeating what she said, which there's no fucking whatever.
people are mad that they're going to stop. RFK wants to take the poison out of your kids'
Right.
poison cereal.
I know, but I know. So
Sorry, people are mad because RFK wants to take the poison out of your kids' poison cereal. The FDA under Biden issued that rule, dum-dum.
now that they're doing raids, so now
Yeah. So now you're excited. Yep.
that Trump is president, and they're actually, it seems to me that they are, the majority of it, they're targeting people who are known criminals.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to you. Why? Because you're watching Dr. Phil clips and that's all you're seeing?
And they're not sweeping neighborhoods.
They are sweeping neighborhoods.
And what they should do is that the local police should keep these people in prison who are known sex offenders, who are known criminals, and are also undocumented, aka illegal, here illegally, and then hand them over to the Border Patrol or hand them over to the Immigration Service. But they're not doing that because they're a sanctuary city. They just release them.
No, they don't.
We
Again,
showed
Jimmy,
you.
these are the
Hang
city,
on.
though.
We've showed you video after. I just showed you video after video of them being released. What do you want to say?
These are the cities that set up snitch hotlines for
For
COVID
COVID.
lockdown violations.
That's right.
They're all over it.
Basically, what's the difference here between this and like Bannon's show at this point? Anything?
Invasive, et cetera.
Yeah.
All over it for that. But for this, well, we don't know. We don't even know who's in a.
Yeah, but the whole like the snitch hotline thing was no one's going to get thrown in jail for that, so it was just as a reminder, right? People would show up and go, "Hey, whatever." And even then, like, what was the extent of that shit at the height of when people were fucking dying in droves?
Own jail, and we don't want to know.
And what they're also doing is scaring the hell out of everybody, saying ICE is coming to your school when they're not.
Yeah, the Secret Service went to that school. Just so you know.
And ICE is doing sweeps of neighborhoods. They're not.
Yeah, they are.
Just like I predicted, they're targeting criminals.
Oh, is that? Sorry, that's the end of it. That just like you predicted. All right, well, I guess it'll stop right there. You know, they're going after these the bad guys, and they're going to leave the DACA kids and the people who have asylum claims and all those people alone. And Jimmy Dore will be there to swoop in like the caring dude. He's always with the most consistent values, and he loves Tom Homan and what he's doing and the Trump organization, except when it comes to the situation where we told you so. Trump calls for ethnic cleansing of Gaza. Yeah, asshole, that's what we told you.
Come see us live on JimmyDore.com in Palestine. As I predicted,
Oh, fuck this.
Trump stopped this genocide in Palestine. And I said, but there's probably going to be a couple of things he does that we hate that go along with that.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Also, there was no genocide. There just wasn't. There wasn't. You could say that there was overreach and there were too many civilians killed. I'd be with you. Absolutely. But when you have 2.4 million people in there and 44,000 people die, even at the outside number, not a genocide. War crimes, you could say that. You could say it's atrocious, not genocide. Because if it is, it's like the worst attempt at genocide in the world. The population of Palestine has gone up in the last decade. So simmer. Again, you could call something out as being wrong without, and this might be a good example of the Nazi reflex. I would argue that Trump is more of a Bundy type or a Dahmer type than a Hitler type because it's more personal to him and he can't think past the end of his own fucking nose, right? Whereas Hitler, would delegate his awful and insisted upon it and had a strategy about it, wrote his own fucking book, right? Like they're different human beings. The biggest difference between Trump and most other authoritarians is they had to earn it.
So, and for Trump stopping the literal slaughter of those people.
No, he didn't stop it. He just gave them he gave them bunker buster bombs. He repealed all the limitations Biden put on the weapons.
What I said he's probably going to try to move some of them to another.
Yeah, just probably move some of them.
Country, and he's probably going to give the West Bank to Israel, or one of those things, or both those things. And it turns out he's probably going to do both those things. So here he is.
Right. What do you mean probably? This, by the way, this isn't your prediction. This is what he fucking said.
He's talking about how Gaza is completely wiped out, which it is. So the plan always was. Let's listen to Trump and then I'll tell you what the plan always was.
Looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now, and it's a mess. It's a real mess.
You'd like Jordan to house people from
I'd like
Gaza?
him to take people. I'd like Egypt to take people. I'm talking to General El-Sisi tomorrow sometime.
So he's saying I'd like Egypt to take some of the Palestinians because Gaza's wiped out, which it is.
And I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people.
So Egypt and Jordan. He wants Egypt. So he wants to ship the Palestinians from their homeland instead of building houses again in Gaza and building their.
Yeah, we know, asshole. Yeah, Biden and Harris were for a two-state solution. Biden and Harris were for the Palestinians to be able to stay, even with their view of how Hamas had to be wiped out. The idea was that you could rebuild it on their behalf. Whereas Trump called them a cancer, called them the problem, said you have to solve it very quickly, which, again, does not sound like something you say when you give a fuck about civilian casualties. And he talked about the value of the property there and how beautiful it was. And so now, welcome to the Kushner condos.
Communities back up. He wants to ship them to Jordan and Egypt and build them houses there.
Yeah. Well,
No, I don't know that he wants to build them houses there. I don't know. I think you're giving him a little more credit.
you know what the only argument was always going to be? Are they going to go there or are they going to be brought to Europe and America? That was what
Yeah.
we're always going to let them slaughter all the people and take them out for the greater Israel. But what was the fight going to be at the end? Are they coming here, or are they going to go to Egypt and Jordan? That's what the real fight has been.
No, it hasn't. Fuck you talking about? The Biden administration and the Harris administration were like, well, we'll set this up so that we'll just scare people into the Palestinians are going to come here, or the idea that we're going to bring them here. Is that what he's saying? Is it that Harris, had she won, was going to bring the Palestinians to the United States, and that was a threat somehow? Is that where he's? It's hard to parse out because it's such bullshit.
I mean, you're talking about probably 1.5 million people.
He's talking about 1.5 million people.
We just clean out that
And we
whole
clean out that whole thing.
Over the centuries, that's many, many conflicts, that site. And I don't know, it's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished.
Oh, yeah, he says it's literally a demolition site, meaning Gaza. Almost everything's demolished.
And people are dying there.
Yeah, we can kind of hear them, and the words are on the screen. If you just lifted it up a little bit, we could actually see it a little better. It's really at the bottom of the thing. Like, literally, there's a... I mean, you're playing fucking TikTok videos,
So I'd
dickhead.
rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing in a different location.
So he said, let's get involved with other Arab nations and build housing in a different location. Why not just build housing there in Gaza?
Because when he met with Netanyahu last fall and during the summer, they discussed undermining the peace deals that Biden was seeking out until such time as Trump got into office. And then they would just obliterate the area and own it, and Trump would hand it to them. And while all the fucking uncommitteds and the fucking genocide Joe fuckers were all stomping around Chicago outside the DNC, yelling at the people who actually were trying to stabilize and move to a two-state solution and slow this shit down, Donald Trump was meeting with them down there. And none of those people were anywhere to be seen when Netanyahu showed up at Mar-a-Lago. Not a fucking one of them. Did you remember the people who marched around Mar-a-Lago and were like, you know, Trump is for genocide. We support the Palestinians. Two-state solution. Anybody remember those people? Right? How about interrupting him during a speech? Anybody? Nope. Right.
Because that was the plan all along.
Yes, between Trump and Netanyahu.
So the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party in Israel funded Hamas was so that they...
No, they tried to buy them off at one point because it worked with the Palestinian Authority. That's what the money was for. They weren't funding them for the attack. Don't be a dick. Too late.
That Hamas would do a terrorist attack. And
yeah, they paid for the terrorist attack. That's right. That's why Trump was bragging that Iran had no money because they didn't even need it. Apparently, Israel paid for those bombs and the little fucking helicopters that they
use that
made.
Because they knew that attack was coming. They funded it. They were warned a year ahead of time. They had the plans for it. Egypt.
Yeah, they didn't think it was possible. They thought it was nuts. This has been asked and answered. We've been through this shit.
7 days ahead of time, told them this was going to happen. Gaza is the most surveilled place in the world.
No, it's not.
Mossad knows exactly what they're doing. They let it happen so that they
told
could
them to have a rave next to it.
So that they told them to have a rave next. So they let it happen so they could use that as an excuse to flatten the whole of Gaza. So there would be nothing for those people to move back.
Okay, so all I can think is this has to be the deep state is behind all this, because if it didn't matter if Biden was in office and what the policy was, or Trump was in office and what the policy was, that this was always going to happen. That apparently, if Biden had continued and won, or if Harris had won, they would have both been in the same gaggle on the 25th of January saying, clean the place out, relocate the Palestinians, and hand the land over to Israel. Right? That's the idea. That's the deep state working. Fuck me.
And so then someone like Trump could come in and say, hey, let's move them out. Let's move them to Jordan. Let's move them to... That was always the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were working with Trump. Right.
So that Israel could take over Gaza and the West Bank, and now they're taking over parts of Lebanon and Syria.
Trump already recognized the Golan Heights, which is part of Lebanon, as theirs.
And believe me, parts of Egypt are on their plans too. It's called Greater Israel. Look it up. And if you think that's where Israel's going to stop.
Yeah, this is all parts of Trump's plan. If you follow this, if you've been following along and not taking notes. So what Trump's going to do is relocate the Palestinians to Egypt, and then the Israelis, because they missed the fight, are going to claim those parts of Egypt. Just because they're so mean. What?
They're not. They're not just going to stop at Gaza. They're not going to stop at the West Bank. They're not going to stop at.
Where does the river and sea? Where did that?
They're not going to just.
That one.
That's right. They're not going to stop at just a little part of. It's like, you know what? I don't know if you've ever lived with a woman and she says, "I'm just going."
Yeah, this is going to be a great analogy. I can feel it.
To take this little part of your toilet, the little part of your sink in your bathroom. I'm just going to take a little bit of part of your vanity. Just this little part of your mind. It's like that, except add genocide.
Oh, my God. Just the laziness. Again, for the record, it's a very serious issue with very complicated aspects of it. And two sides in the circumstance that have people that were working in good faith and people who were working in bad faith, and people who were subverting the peace process and people who were sticking to it and trying their hardest, and outside actors who thought it was possible and outside actors who thought it wasn't possible. It's a fucking complex situation. And this asshole boils it down to chicks, am I right? Also, and I want to, I think we actually have is a troll in here today? Yeah, there you go. I would like to thank the trolls for being here. It's excellent. I think the sharing is working, guys. It really does help. It's fantastic. And it's great that you guys are here, the maggots and the trolls, because you share us out to parts of the internet that others can't. So, yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. Also, I wish you guys would at least use a fake real name, as opposed to just kind of like a handle, like you're a trucker in the early 80s. It just proves that you're afraid to say in the open who you are and what you're about, you know? And so nobody takes you, you know, I mean, we don't need it. I mean, obviously we benefit because every time you write something, it boosts me in the algorithm because it says to YouTube, you know, this person not only is worth watching, but he's engaging. It's great. I'm for it. Don't get me wrong. All right. And I'm over time already. God damn. All right. Well, we did cover a lot today. And we had fucking Glenn Beck on a horse. There was one more thing that I had in here that I wanted to show you guys. That it? Nope. Yeah. No, I think that's, oh, well, if I do get into it, it's just going to be all night. It's just going to be, you just know it. And none of us need to see like Kristi Noem's first remarks at DHS or any of this stuff. It's not going to tell us anything. It's the same shit. She's going to blather whatever. Yeah. And nobody needs any more Sean Hannity in their life. Not tonight, anyway. So I will see you guys. Yeah, Boston Brian's live. I'm going to kick you guys over to his Twitch channel. So I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here.